Sriram.
Okay, Sriram, for everybody notice, our chief guest, Dr. Ajit Peter joined here, and okay, welcome, sir. And then Sriram, please proceed.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Sriram, just a minute. I would like to request
Okay.
VP. As you said in the instructions, please don't try to do this. It will be an interruption to our speaker. So for the presentation of our speaker, and it will be an interruption to all participants. So please don't try to do this. Please don't share your screen. Please be careful about that. And Sriram, please carry on.
Okay, Veranata. Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I like to repeat the major instructions regarding to the webinar for the sake of newly joined participants after Veranata and told. Switch off your mics and cameras unless you have to express something to us or till we invite you. And most predominantly, like the recent scenario, even if you rejoin after leaving the meet, don't press the present screen button, because if you do so, there's a possibility of losing the presentation of the speaker temporarily. And we wish you to pin the presentation screen of the speaker by tapping it from selecting from the people list. So it will be easy for you to see the slides of our speaker. And the chat box is only for asking your questions for the Q&A session. And all kinds of discussions using the chat box are strictly prohibited due to the decision made by the webinar committee. Discussions can be done in our WhatsApp group called Cosmos. If you are interested in that, please direct message to Varnatan or Bharat. They will provide their numbers in the chat box soon. Apart from these instructions, we will have a webinar quiz as usual after the webinar. The quiz link will be posted in the end, and it will be only activated after the vote of thanks. There will be a cash prize for the winners sponsored by the Cinderbe Nacho. The results of the previous webinar quiz will be announced through our social media platforms such as Cosmos Group and official Instagram, Facebook pages of UL Space Club. Your fastest and accurate answers will be considered and appreciated by the club, and you will certainly have benefits. So those are the informations and instructions related to today's webinar. Shadya sir, can I move to the formal introduction?
Yeah. You proceed.
Okay, sir. Once again, a warm good afternoon to all. Thanks to Varnatan for providing the instructions. I cordially invite all the veteran scientists, teachers, UL Space Club organizers, students, and all other participants to the 28th session of UL Space Club's webinar series. We, the UL Space Club, is a foundation under the umbrella of Uralangal Labour Cooperative Society, stands for enriching and flourishing the scientific aptitude of students, especially in space field. Within a short time span of 3 years, we conducted many great offline events before the COVID. And exactly in May 2020, in the context of the pandemic era, we began this new journey called the webinar series. And it's going incredibly well for these 7 months. Today, in the 28th session, we have Dr. Ajit Peter as the lead speaker on the topic, current status of our environment. Like I introduced, we are a part of Space Club. Then why this topic? The answer is actually quite simple, because we are part of the Earth, its environment, because and before we got into space science. Talking about it is the need of the hour. And I think you might heard about the famous query put forward by the 16-year-old Swedish girl, Greta Thunberg. She questioned the world by, how dare you? Yes, how can a man, how can a woman who is depending on geo-environment for his entire life would dare to disturb its equilibrium? The question shook the world. Eventually, she was nominated for the Nobel Prize, and Oxford Dictionary selected climate emergency as the word of the year 2019. We Keralites know about the hazardous situation that we encountered in the consecutive years as flood. In the early lockdown period, there was positive sign. We saw in the nature as a little less in air pollution and amount of carbon dioxide. According to the UK-based National Climate Change Journal, the first peer-reviewed analysis of the drop in carbon emissions during the COVID-19 lockdown has shown that daily emissions decreased by 17 or 80% or 70 million tons of carbon dioxide globally during the peak of confinement on April month, dropping to levels last observed in the 2006 and so to the back. But since things get back to normal up to an extent, the trend reversed again. Certainly there would be a post-COVID era, and our environment should be secured or preserved well for the coming future. It's our duty to be conscious about that. We have today an eminent person, a chartered environmental scientist from Brunel University at London. Even though we consider this venture as a national webinar, this is the kind of global exposure we are looking forward. So it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you, sir. Namaste, Dr. Ajit Peter, sir. And after that, we have all core team members of the webinar committee here to give you the instructions when it's necessary. Our all-in-all Shajil sir is here as the moderator of the webinar, and he will go and introduce our respected speaker. Our chief mentor, K. Kutty sir, the former director of ISRO, is here with us as always. The whole webinar family, including the eminent scientists all over India, will be with us in this session too. And UL Space Club member and an NTSC scholar, Charidat, will handle the Q&A session after the talk. And another Space Club member, Ashwati, is here to express the vote of thanks after the session. Our streamer, our student fellow, Adil Krishna, is now streaming this live on the YouTube. So, good to go. Without taking much time, without any further delay, I welcome the moderator, Shajil sir, to take over the session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sriram, for creating such an environment to receive this kind of a talk, because that's you already created a good room for these things. And I am happy to see that Dr. PJ Bhatt is joined with us. He's a well-wisher and he's part of our US Space Club, and he's very keen, showing keen interest in nurturing our students. Along with him, welcome Bhatt sir, and along with him, I could see Mr. Jayant Ganguly from Regional Science and Planetarium. Welcome to you also, sir, and happy to see you here. And today we are sitting here in the 28th week in the era of pandemic. With the UL Space Club has made this pandemic to a golden opportunity, and before by resorting this kind of a educational program and an environment for our students. Really, we can say that we already created a good environment for the students in the field of science. First, we started, it was on the basis of space, and later we introduced all aspects or elements of these science by recognizing that there is no watertight compartment for science. Everything is there in everywhere in every time. That's our motto. That's we selecting this kind of topic that is most relevant. Environment is it's a wonderful thing, and we are all concerned about these things because we want our own survival on this earth. Of course, that's the real motto behind this, and we are thinking about the coming next generations. And today we are with the topic, the present status of our environment. That is introduced by an eminent scientist, and he's we can proudly say that he's a Keralite and he's from Pathanamthitta. And I came across with him in a gifted children program at Kumuli in Idukki district, and I was so interested in his talk and his approach. He was ready to support all the students, and he want to create such a environment-based science education curriculum and activities in India, and especially in our Kerala. That is his attitude. Now he is joining with us from UK, and he is part of Brunel University, and he is engaged with a lot of environmental activities, including the most wanted fluid on this earth, that's water. He is working on the purification of water, and is made lot of findings and modifications to ensure the good water to the city of London. These things, and my duty is to introduce him in this occasion, and he's a senior chartered scientist, consultant scientist, environment and human health, Brunel University, London, and that the Brunel University is the second largest environmental university in this world. That is the significance of the speaker. That's why we selected him. And his PhD in environmental science, water, microbial contamination, human health, and Brunel University. Now, the thing is that in our land, the PhD is there, that degree will be held in shelf, or there is normally we can't see any kind of, we couldn't see any kind of application to the society. But what happened here in Brunel University has taken that PhD from Brunel University, and he is applying his findings into the humankinds by introducing into a public sector system to monitor the water and protect and save the people of London without infecting a special kind of pneumonia. That is duty. But he was a student in Catholic College, Pathanamthitta MG University. After that, he took the masters and PhD from Brunel University, UK. And he's a chartered scientist and senior member of British Water Management Society, full member Royal Society of Chemistry UK, a member American Water Works Association, and he's also a member of Plastic Ocean Foundation. And his areas of expertise, we can say, environmental research, and he's interested in teaching and public environment awareness training programs. And he is a chief consultant, a scientist in a member of British environmental management and water treatment companies, and environmental managed staff training also. And he's a speaker in many national and international. That's why he's so interested to speak to the students and to the community. With that passion he joined with us. And trainer, he's a trainer, District Institute of Education, training Idiki. That's why I came to meet with him. And he's also part of a state biodiversity board of Kerala. And he has undertaken so many projects, environmental awareness training programs, and awareness for lawyers and policy makers in India and abroad, and all these other things. And his research projects already taken is pneumonia control, that already mentioned to you. He's a head of research project to monitor and control Legionella pneumonia bacteria in water systems, one of the main causative agents in pneumonia. In India, we are not so cautious about this kind of bacteria, but UK, especially in UK, in the London city, is so cautious in providing good water. Yesterday, we have discussed about all these things, and he told me that the tap water in London city is a drinking water. There is no need to purify it. And the thing is that all the water resource is purified and recycled. There is no water loss, and all the water is good enough to drink. That's the thing. And he's so interested in waste management, environmental friendly domestic waste management projects, and clean energy from domestic waste, including water recycling. That's his major area. And he's also interested in plastic pollution control, plastic free environment management, and plastic recycling to environment friendly non-leaching products in this management. And I am happy to say that when the pandemic started, he was also got infected with this COVID-19, and he informed me that in the month of March, I still remember that there was only a fever. I stayed in my home and it was good. That was not acceptable to our community in that time, in the month of March. Now we recognize that this COVID, we can overcome it. That's the kind of things. And he expressed his experience through his own channel. And that's the thing that, and one more thing I want to add to my students, that most of our students want to take the masters and post and their doctoral fellowship in foreign countries, especially in UK, like that. And we have an eminent person to guide you, and he may give lot of instructions and guidance in your future life. He will be a bridge to the higher institutions in UK. And yesterday also he agreed that he will help our students in guiding them to how to get access into foreign universities for higher studies. That's the resources we have, and we happily and proudly welcome you, sir, to this forum, Dr. Ajit Peter. And along with him, I invite all the eminent scientists of ISRO, and there are a lot of teachers, lot of professors and scientists from all over part of India, and there are a lot of our most wanted students. For them, we are creating this kind of an environment. A warm welcome to all. I welcome Dr. Ajit Peter to take over his chair. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, here it is good morning. But other part of the world, I think it's in India, it's good afternoon. So here time is 9:44 in the morning. So for me, it is good morning, but I know for all of you, it is good afternoon. So a very good afternoon to you all. Um, Today, we will be discussing, I wouldn't say one of the most important, I think this is the most important subject at this time. I'll tell you why it is. The topic, today's topic is the current status of our environment. Current status of our environment, when we go through this, you will understand why it is so important. So then during this session, if you have any, definitely you may have doubts and questions. So please make a note of all those things. And at the end of the session, hopefully we can go through all these things and I may be able to answer your questions. And as Shajisa mentioned, definitely I'm very happy and interested in communicating with you all in the future also. So today we are not stopping here, so we will continue this mission. Okay. Here, now it's winter season here. That's why different from yours. My dress code is different because the temperature this morning was around 5 degrees. So I think you all are sitting in a warm weather or warm climate, comfortable. Yeah. So anyway, what I will do, I will share my screen. Give me a moment, please. Okay, can you see my screen?
No, it hasn't come. I think it will take half a minute to make that. Yes, it has come. No.
No, sir.
No, it hasn't come.
No, sir.
One moment. Not yet?
No, sir. It hasn't come. According to tested, it will come. Entire screen and selection of drawing is here. Can you see that?
Pardon?
Present the entire screen like that, sir.
Yeah. I'm doing that, but I don't know. One moment. Sorry for this. One moment, please.
Okay, no problem, sir. We'll be here, no problem. Yesterday we tested, it was okay, yesterday night.
Yeah.
If any problem, please, you keep and rejoin. That's a good idea, I think so.
Pardon?
If it is not possible, just relieve from the, just quit.
Yeah. Give me a moment. I think like yesterday, I will 1 second. I will leave the meeting and then I will rejoin.
Okay, sir. That may be good.
Thank you.
Sir, you please leave and rejoin. Yeah, and then it will become okay.
All right. Okay.
Yesterday night we have conducted a trial and everything was okay. Dear students, there is an instruction for you. Please type your name and mail ID in the comment box. Okay. And also get prepared for attending UL Space Quiz, the most interesting thing that will happen after this 1.5 hour. Okay, welcome, sir. Okay. Please unmute you. Please unmute. Roshan Bijli, sir, welcome.
നമസ്കാരം.
Okay.
ആദ്യമായിട്ട് മുമ്പ് 1-2 കയറാൻ പറ്റിയിരുന്നില്ല.
Okay. Thank you.
തുടങ്ങാൻ പോകുന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ അല്ലേ?
Just started. There was a technical issue.
Okay.
That's why we
Right. Okay, fine. Okay.
Is it okay, sir?
Yeah. Can you see my?
No.
No, is it?
It's
No,
not
sir.
I don't know what's the problem.
If it is possible, you please mail to me. I will present him here.
Pardon?
If it is possible, please send to me your email that slide. I am sending your my email ID.
All right. Okay. One moment.
Okay. I am able to present it. I send to you over WhatsApp. Send my email ID. If it is possible, please send.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
That's a better idea, I think so.
So can you see me now, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes. Now it's
Now you can see me. All right.
Yes, it's
Yes,
okay
sir, yes.
now. Everything is okay. Happy to see that.
I don't know what happened in between because
Some synchronizing problem that may happen there. That's the thing.
yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
It's visible. It's very clear. It's visible. You can proceed, sir. Okay, welcome.
All right. Okay. Now everything is clear, I think. Hello.
Yes, everything is clear.
yes, sir, yes.
Okay. Anyway, I think we lost another 10 minutes. Okay. So sorry for this inconvenience. It is, technology. It is not in my hand. Anyway, we'll start our topic now. Our topic is current status of our environment. So first of all, we have to see what we mean by environment. environment is basically our surroundings. It consists of air, water, and soil. And whatever we can see in it, all ingredients in it. So collectively, we call it as environment. It contains water, air, soil, and everything in it. So when we think about environment, the most important part we have to think is our planet Earth. So all these things, most probably all of you are aware. Our planet is the third planet from the sun and the fifth largest of the planets in diameter. And estimated age of our planet is 4.5 to 4.6 billion years. Then 71% of surface area of our planet is water, and 97%, 71% is water. Out of that, 97% is salt water, and 3% is fresh water. And average surface temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. When we say average surface temperature, I think you are aware that we have different temperatures across the globe. Now, as I mentioned to you this morning, our temperature here is 5 degrees, and some other parts of in India, where in Kerala it could be 30 degrees, or some Middle East areas it could be 50 degrees, 40 degrees, and if you go to Arctic, it could be 70, minus 60, whatever. So when you take average of all this temperature, average surface temperature of the planet is 15 degrees Celsius. You know why I explained to you all these things? Because it is very, very important to know this concept of average temperature. Now, next thing is, when we think about environment, ecosystem. We all are aware of ecosystem. Ecosystem, always I compare ecosystem as a flexible ring. Why I say it's a flexible ring? Because it is not like a metal ring. It is flexible. Because you can see here, before that, ecosystem. Ecosystem was in an equilibrium stage. It's very important to understand that. Equilibrium means it was in a balanced state. Everything was in a balanced state. That's called equilibrium. Now we come to that flexible ring concept, because you can see different components in this flexible ring. So it is in an equilibrium state. The important thing here is, if we exert a force in any of these components or on any of these components, this ring could be deformed. This is very, very important to understand this concept. So in this ring, if we exert any force or a different force to any of these components, definitely this flexible ring can be deformed. So in order to keep this ecosystem in an equilibrium stage, it is very important to keep the mass almost balanced, or we have to keep as it should be. Otherwise, this flexible ring can be deformed and this ring can collapse. This is the most important thing you have to understand. So it is our responsibility that to keep this eco-equilibrium as it is. Otherwise, this ring can be deformed and the entire system can be collapsed. Now, we go to the next slide. So here we mention about the principle of ecosystem. It is very important. Principle of ecosystem. The basic principle of ecosystem is nothing can stand alone. Nothing can stand alone. Each species depends on other species. This is a basic theory. Nobody can live as they want because we all depend on other species. And especially we human beings, we have to understand human survival on this planet is 100% depends on other species on the planet. Here it comes. See, we have to respect other species. We have to value other species. We have to look after other species. Otherwise, what's going to happen is directly our misbehavior is going to affect our own survival. That's the reason I told you it is very, very important to look after other species and respect this ecosystem, eco-equilibrium. Now, so in order for us to survive, for human survival, we need a healthy environment. So at the beginning, I mentioned you, I wouldn't say this is one of the most important subjects. I will say this is the most important subject of this time because this is directly related or connected to our survival. So we need a healthy environment. But when I take these classes, many of the participants, they say, they ask this question, they think, or I know most of us think, we know many things. We know majority of the things, or we know almost everything because science is getting advanced and we know majority of the things. But what we have to understand is we know surprisingly little about the environment. This is what I learned while I was studying, and now this is what I teach to master's students. So we know surprisingly little about the environment. In my opinion, not only in my opinion, many scientists agree with this. We know less than 1% of what we're supposed to know. You understand it, where we are. We know less than 1% of what we're supposed to know. If you think about it, you don't know anything because most of the things we are unaware. So I can give you many examples, but that could be some other time. But this time, we are running out of time, so I'm not going to those things. But when we think communication technology or automation, or those things, definitely we are in a much advanced stage. But in terms of environment or what is happening around us, we know surprisingly little. This is the first thing we have to understand. And the main reason, lack of data. First thing is lack of data. We haven't got much data. In many countries, still they haven't got proper data. If you go back some developed countries and some developing countries has got data, but still we can't go back even maximum 45 years. This last since last 45 years, we have some data. In some developed countries has got a good data about the environment or what was happening all this time, but majority of the countries hasn't got this data. So why I am explaining all these things? Because first of all, we have to understand we know surprisingly little about our environment and what are the reason behind it. Now, as I mentioned to you, we need a healthy environment. But our topic is the current status of our environment, current state. So we are going to go through the current scenarios, what is happening at the moment, and do we have a healthy environment, or if we continue with our lifestyle in such a way, where we are going to end up, and what are the consequences we are going to face. These are the things we are going to discuss now. Now here you can see main factors affecting environmental health. Now the first thing is, the main problem is pollution. I have to tell you, there are many issues, 20, 30, 40, I can pick more than 40, 50 reasons or factors affecting the environmental health. But I have only I have taken only 10 points, which are more relevant and most important of this time. So first thing is pollution. We know that the whole world across the globe, we are facing this problem. What's the problem? Our air is getting polluted, and air is contaminated, and water is contaminated, and our soil is contaminated. As I mentioned to you, this is we call environment. F mainly we call air, water, soil and its ingredients is environment, then the total environment is facing this problem of pollution. So we'll go to a bit more into this pollution. What you have to understand, in 1800, we had started this industrial revolution, 1800. It was in Manchester, in England, in the UK. So after that, we have synthetically manufactured more than 300,000 of chemicals and injected on this planet. Honestly speaking, none of this chemical, totally I can say in that way, none of this chemical is not healthy for environment. Okay, it has got its own benefits. Definitely, it has got its benefits and many uses and everything. There are so many advantages. But I'm talking in terms of environment. One way or other way, it harms the environment. So we have an environment at the moment, a chemically contaminated world or a chemically contaminated environment. You can see we haven't got any fresh air. Wherever we go, air is contaminated. We cannot get fresh air. And across the globe, we are struggling to get clean water. We haven't got clean water. Especially in my case, Shahir sir mentioned, because my main research this last you can say last 10 years, my main research is related to water. So we are struggling to avail the clean water for the general public. So, and luckily in this country, in the UK, we have much better quality clean water, and we can drink directly from the tap. But many other parts of the world, the situation is different. But still in this country, we struggle a lot to avail this clean water to the general public. And then no healthy soil. Our soil is terribly contaminated because whatever we do, at the end of the day, it ends up in our soil. So our soil is contaminated. Now, we'll go to the next slide. It gives you a bit more explanation. A heavily contaminated land. You can see the first top part of the slide. Heavily contaminated. You can see this is one of the scenarios I'm showing just to give you a bit more insight. But if you go to some other parts of the world or maybe in your cities, definitely we can see a different picture or much worse pictures. So land is contaminated. Everywhere land is contaminated and air is contaminated. You can see the middle slide. Now, during this pandemic time, I have published few videos because in a few of my classes, participants asked a question, how this pandemic situation is going to help, or is there is this pandemic situation can make a difference in terms of environmental health? Definitely, because COVID-19 and associated lockdown, during that lockdown time, there was not much traffic, vehicles was reduced, and all traffic in terms of everything was reduced, and manufacturing areas, and so our air was getting better during that time. But you know that it's not going to last for long. Around 2,900 some metric tons of carbon dioxide has been reduced or there was a significant reduction in the level of carbon dioxide, around 2,000, I don't exactly remember the figure, around 2,900 metric tons, I think, of carbon dioxide was reduced in the atmosphere or in the environment. So, but it was only for a period of time. Now again, it started going up. It will go up, and again, you can see that water bodies, all over the world, we are facing these problems. Our water is getting polluted on a day-by-day basis because industrial runouts and agricultural farming runouts and everything. And also another thing, I'll come to that point, plastic. Plastic is now considered, in terms of environment, it is considered as a silent killer. So plastic is a wonderful product. Don't get me wrong, we'll come to that later. But what I'm saying is, in general, our land, our air, and our water is heavily contaminated. Now, second is, don't forget our topic, current status of our environment. So I mentioned you briefly about pollution. Now, I can't explain too much because now it's 10:20, we are running out of time. So we have 8 more points to discuss. So second is deforestation. Deforestation, we know what it is, but the depth of or the seriousness of deforestation. If you see this slide, that writings on the right hand side, you can see that total. This is the data we received from United Nations (UN) into this year, 2020. Sorry. Total global forest area at the moment is 4.06 billion hectares. Now, deforestation since 1990 to 2020. Can you imagine? 420 million hectares we lost. Then, if you take this recent years, 2015 to 2020, 10 million hectares per year we are losing. You have to understand the seriousness. 10 million hectares of forest every year we are losing, which is equal to 27,397 hectares of forest per day. I think 1 hectare is 2.5 for something acres. You know, one acre. So now, see, every day we are losing 27,397. This is a government data. So I would say the actual could be almost double of this figure. So where we are. So we will go to the next slide. Deforestation, it is dangerous and it gives us many environmental issues and social issues, so many things. And first one is many thousands and thousands of species losing their habitat, because in forest we can see so many bird species, animal species, and so many species. That is their habitat, so they are losing it. And changes in rainfall pattern. And in introduction, one of your colleagues mentioned about the recent flood in Kerala, and recent flood across the globe. Not only in Kerala, there was flood in France and Middle East, and many parts of the world there was flood recent years. So changes in rainfall pattern. So before we had a systematic weather pattern. We had a systematic climate pattern. We were expecting monsoon in Kerala. We were expecting my school days and all those days, June 2nd. We would go to school definitely with an umbrella, otherwise we would be wet completely. Now the things are changed. Rain comes as it needs or as it wants. So nobody can predict, when we are going to get rainfall or when we are not going to get. So these things are all changing and gone upside down. And other thing is losing water quality. Mainly we have surface water and groundwater, and this all depends. This water quality is mainly depends on the water absorption and so many other stuff. So deforestation causes losing our water quality and losing flood prevention. This forest has got a major part to play with flood prevention. So when we lose our forest, definitely we can see that in our state in Kerala. So Recent years, we are seeing flood 2-3 times in every year. And I published a video. It is said, but in coming years, the frequency of the flood will increase. More frequent flooding we will have to see. And associated disasters, economic chaos, all this we can expect as a consequence of flood. Basically, this all starts from deforestation. And other thing is increasing GHG in the environment. GHG means greenhouse gases. So I think most of you are aware about greenhouse gases. So greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, NOx. NOx means the compounds of oxygen, nitrogen, and oxygen, and all these things on a day-by-day basis. The level of greenhouse gases increasing in our environment, and also we all now hear about global warming. You have to understand, it is estimated that around 10% of the contribution towards global warming is coming from deforestation. 10% is a big figure in terms of global warming. So 10% coming from deforestation. Last years, when I came to Kerala and all, I was in many places inaugurating this June 5th Environment Day, and many people, or many students, and many groups, scientific groups, and all, they had planted hundreds and thousands of trees against this deforestation, or as a precaution against deforestation, or as we can say as a penance against this deforestation. So why I'm explaining this area in this way, because always I recommend, I say, I never cut trees. I never cut trees. And I encourage you, you have to understand the value of a single tree. Whether it is small or big, doesn't matter. You have to understand the value of a single tree. So we have to preserve it. The forestation coming later, you are planting, conservation and everything coming later. But whatever you have, it could be in your land, it could be in your university, college, or wherever you are, please, in the name of developments, or in the name of advancement or technology or whatever, or your progress or progression, whatever. But please don't cut any tree. So that is the first thing you can do to conserve the existing forest or trees. So then, as a plus, you can plant more trees. So we'll come to that at the end anyway. Now, 3. Plastic contamination. Most of you are aware, this plastic, I think initially it was invented in 1860, and then the plastic we see today, it was invented in 1907, at the beginning of last century. And the plastic we use at present, that came into effect in I think 1945, during the Second World War. So before, plastic was only used for industrial purposes, but for food packaging and food and drink packaging and everything, we started using, because they started using in Second World War, and they found it is convenient to handle and everything in this food and drink packaging in the plastic and all. That's the time it entered into our food and drink industry. But I'm not going because this is I'm not going to talk to you much about plastic. This is a different subject. But if I want to talk to you about plastic, it needs another 2 hours. This is a different subject, because plastic, as I mentioned, it's a silent killer. So many diseases we see today that has got a strong connection with plastic. I think last year I was taking a class for doctors, medical doctors in India, in Kerala. And when I explained many symptoms and problems of modern diseases and its connection with the plastic, all of them totally agreed, yes, because the medical history, when we go through the medical history, after we started using the plastic for food and drink, then only we started getting most of these modern diseases. And also, at the moment, plastic contamination, we live in a plastic age. Also, I have to add to that, plastic is a wonderful product, but we failed to use it in a sensible or systematic way or environmentally friendly way. When I go to these conferences and seminars and all, many people ask me, okay, so there is environmentally friendly plastic, reusable plastic, virgin plastic and green plastic. In terms of environmental health and human health, you have to understand, please, there is no such plastic. This is all from the business mafia. Of course, it is originated from the Western world. This all these names, these are the marketing techniques. Green plastic, there is no such green plastic. Till today, we haven't invented or developed such a plastic. And other thing is virgin plastic. I don't know what it is. It's all are marketing techniques, and it came from the mafia, or we can say the Western marketing world. We got all these names. It's nothing to do with the plastic. We have only one plastic, that is recyclable plastic. Recyclable plastic we can recycle. So there is no, understand, please. I don't use plastic in my home. I don't use anything packaged in plastic, food, drink, and nothing. So, and also in many places, I have implemented plastic-free environment. That is in my profile. I think Shajil sir explained you these things. Well, I request you, in your college, start from your house, from your home, from your society, from your community, start. And take the first step, a plastic-free environment. Plastic is a silent killer, and it is not only killing you and your health, it's killing the environment. So, land, air, water is heavily contaminated with the plastic. Again, this first slide, land. Second, plastic is burning. And third, I'll tell you, the land in the land, plastic, when it contaminates, when it mixes or in the soil, it creates big problem as it loses the structure of the soil and damage the soil. And second, when we burn the plastic, never do it. In Kerala and India, I saw in many places, they have this domestic incineration unit. They burn the plastic and waste and everything. It's very, very serious because there are so many issues. One of the most important things is when you burn plastic, around 12 dioxins liberate or around 12 dioxins come out of that plastic smoke. Dioxins are heavily, they are the contaminants, air contaminants. And I think you all know what is dioxins. And out of these 12 dioxins, 8, I think around 9 of them has confirmed they are carcinogens. They are heavily cancer-causing chemicals or contaminants. So it's very, 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 very serious. And again, our water bodies, our ocean, lakes, and everything is contaminated with plastic. You know, when this plastic stays in the water, especially salt water, it cannot dissolve there, but it breaks down to microplastics, tiny pieces of plastic. It's called microplastics. So all these microplastics, all the aquatic species, they consume it because it is very tiny pieces. And these, when they swallow the water, definitely all these going to their gut. And, you know, the basic raw material for plastic is bisphenol A. And plastic is not a flexible substance. To make it flexible, we add phthalates. Phthalates, another chemical, both are, both has got severe health issues, they can create serious health impacts and environmental impacts. And I had to add to that, according to 2018 data, average incoming of plastic to our ocean is 8,000 million tons. Not 8 million tons, 8,000 million tons of plastic coming to our ocean every year. 8,000 million tons. And again, I would say this is government data. So actual could be, because I'm a member of Plastic Ocean Foundation. We have a documentary film and so many things going on about it. So according to the real scientific studies, 8,000 million tons, that's the government data, but actually it's much more than that. And this is contaminating the entire ocean. And by 2050, we estimate that our ocean would be containing more plastic than all the aquatic species. You can imagine all these, every year, these plastic all coming to our ocean and breaking down to microplastics. And if you go to the Pacific Ocean, the most calm and quiet place, go there and take a water sample from there. Still, if you analyze that water, you can see microplastics. Then, can you imagine? And also satellite pictures were revealed in Pacific Ocean itself. They have discovered plastic mountains in Pacific Ocean, like the size of Texas City. So we have to understand where we are. Now, as I mentioned you, this is bisphenol A, phthalates, dioxins, microplastics, everything is in the plastic. I have from our lab environment, from our laboratory, research laboratory, it's a very clean environment. From that air sample, I have tested for phthalate. I have tested that air sample for phthalate. Even that environment has got phthalate content much more than the permitted limit. That means when you look around, wherever you are sitting at the moment now, look around. Your chair could be plastic, your fan could be plastic. I don't know. There are so many things are plastic. Okay, so our bisphenol A, phthalates and all, most of these things are about 24 degrees Celsius. It started leaching to the environment. 24 degree. So now please don't use plastic containers for food and drink, because these chemicals can leach into that food and drink, and that can go anyway. You are consuming phthalates and everything. Sorry, from the air. But sorry, let me drink some water. Sorry, everybody is with you, with me. Am I right? Okay. So we have to understand the seriousness. So avoid plastic wherever you can and aim for a plastic-free environment. Now, other major issue is we are losing biodiversity. Biodiversity loss. Here we have on our planet, we have 3 types of species mainly: plants, animals, and microorganisms. And among that plants, animals, we can see main. I'm not going into deep about all these things just because of time. Just going to touch few points and move on. We have land species, bird species, aquatic species. These are the animal species we can see. Now, just for your information, we are losing biodiversity. We are losing species from the planet. Fourth thing, you can see those are the family of amphibians. You know, these frogs and all, it comes under the family of amphibians. Because our water bodies are contaminated, and these poor animals, they cannot resist or they cannot fight with these chemicals or anything. So what happened is, across the globe, entire world, around up to 97% already gone from this planet. In some areas, we can see these species now still, but across the globe, if you take, because farmland and most modern agriculture farming system and industrialization and everything is pouring out dangerous or poisonous chemicals to the environment, and these poor creatures are not able to fight against it or resist against it, and at the end they extinct. Now, second one, just for an example, I can give you thousands of examples just for your information. Kangaroos in Australia, we can see kangaroos mainly, and around 70 species of kangaroos are there. Out of that 70%, 70 species, 70 different species, around 20 species already got extinct. So now you can imagine how fast we are losing the biodiversity. Again, tigers. Now, across the globe, majority are from India. Across the globe, we have only in 2000, according to 2020 data, we have only 3,900 tigers. And again, butterflies. You know, these butterflies, they are very, very sensitive towards this pollution and everything. And it was estimated around 17,500 species, different species of butterflies across the globe. Out of that, hundreds of species being extinct already and remaining. Scientists, ecologists, environmental scientists estimate that if we continue this lifestyle, by 2050, these all species of butterflies could disappear from this planet. When we go through all these things, don't forget the first slide I showed you. Nothing can stand alone. Each species depends on other species, especially as human beings, we depend on these species for our survival. And then the other part you can see, we call them reptiles. You know, there are so many creatures there in the family of reptiles. It's very interesting. 12% is classified as critically endangered. That means they are getting extinct. Critically endangered. Their population declining on a day-by-day basis. And remaining 41% is endangered. They are in danger. That means they are facing serious threat. And remaining is 47%. 47% is considered as vulnerable. Vulnerable means they're already in problem. So this is in the situation of our land species. And then bird species. Wherever you go in the world, you can see three types of birds. Farmland species, wetland species, and woodland species. Wherever you go, you can see only three types of birds. These are they. Now, first, it is about farmland species. Now we know that we are using most modern agricultural farming system, efficient crop collecting machines, and synthetic fertilizers and pesticides and everything, herbicides, pesticides, insecticides and everything we are using for most modern farming system. What happens? Because of these most modern systems, these farmland species has lost their habitat. They haven't got any food, and the food they get is also contaminated with poisonous chemicals we spray or we use, and they drink or they consume the water from the farm, from the field, and whatever the poisonous chemicals, fertilizers or pesticides or herbicides or whatever we use, that mix with water and that water become heavily contaminated with poisonous chemicals, and they consume this water and they die, and other case they cannot reproduce. They lose their reproductive capacity, and their total population is steeply declining. And average, if you take globally, around 90% we lost them. And again, the wetland species. This is, you can see, wetland. I don't have to explain much. Wetland, they live in water bodies. As I mentioned to you, our water bodies are heavily contaminated with chemicals and poisonous pesticides, herbicides, or insecticides, and industrial runout and agriculture runouts and all. So what happens? They consume all these things and they live in that water, and same thing. Either they die or they cannot reproduce. And also recent droughts, because they live in wetland. When we get severe droughts, we lose them. They lose their habitat. And also other thing is food scarcity. So all these things, wetland species, we lost around 95%. You can imagine 5% only remaining. I'm talking about across the globe. If you take your own state, you can see some parts of your state, you may be able to see some of these species. But in my childhood or in my school time, I used to see these birds everywhere. But nowadays, we cannot see that. So from that, you can imagine or you can assess the current situation. Now, woodland species. Woodland species, from the name itself, you know that they live in trees or in forest. I already mentioned to you about deforestation. Now, deforestation means these woodland species are losing their habitat, and also they are losing their food. And again, because of the pollution, the food they get is contaminated. This, what you can see is, I think this is woodpecker. Woodpecker. This woodpecker, these species, more than 97% or 98% already gone from this planet. And in general, bird species, around 93%, this species, these woodland species, more than 93% has got extinct from our planet. And many other examples I can give you, but now we haven't got much time. So one of the, if you want to learn more, you can Google passenger pigeons. Passenger pigeons. This was from the US. The native place was for this species was US. So they, in 1800, it was estimated their population was 5 billion. 5 billion. But you can imagine 5 billion. But in 2007, the last passenger pigeon died in Cincinnati Zoo in USA. So that means in 1800, we had a bird species, 5 billion. Within 100 years' time or 170 years' time, got extinct. Now we haven't got passenger pigeons on our planet. So what I told you that, why I told you that example, the number of population or the abundance is not an issue. Abundance is, we can't say the abundance can, because of the abundance, these species will sustain. No. No. It doesn't matter 5 billion, 6 billion, 10 billion, but if the situations are against them, they won't be able to survive. So same, whatever we see today around us, it could be a big population, but if the situations are not good or good enough, in the near future, all this will be disappearing. Now, example, vultures in Southeast Asia, especially in India. Diclofenac. This is an anti-inflammatory drug we discovered in developed in 1970s. I think, yeah, 1970s, and then because of diclofenac poisoning, because we used to give this to cows, and in majority of the majority of North India, if a cow is dead, they leave that body in an open place for the vultures. So vultures comes and eat it, and then these cows, for I think it's as an anti-inflammatory drug. In India, we used to give this to the cows. So basically, cow's body or their flesh contains this diclofenac. So what happens when vultures eat this flesh? Vultures' kidneys are too sensitive towards this diclofenac. So when it reaches to vultures' kidneys, this vultures' kidney fails and they die. So it's a very clear study in India. During the time of 1970 to 2010, 40 million vultures been died in India. 40 million. That's why in India you can see vulture conservation centers. Vultures, they are a very important chain, a very important part of our ecosystem. Vultures are a very important part of our ecosystem. So vultures started losing like anything. 40 million already gone from the planet, and then Southeast Asia, especially in India, vulture conservation centers began, and they opened so many vulture conservation centers, and now I think their population is a bit okay, I think. Anyway, now aquatic species, we are running out of time, so I'm going a bit fast. Extinction of aquatic species, you can see, as I mentioned you, this plastic and all the pollutions and chemicals and everything, at the end of the day, it ends up in ocean, and it seriously affects aquatic species, and their population is steeply declining. Now, another problem what we are facing on this planet is significant increase in human population. You can see. See, from this graph, can you imagine? In 1800, global population was below 1 billion. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth plot. So it was in 1800, it was below 1 billion, and in 1900 you can see it was around 1.5 billion or just above that. But now, within this period, within this last 100 years, it increased more than 7 times. So all other species, their population steeply declining, but only one species dominating the globe. That only species. Now, here what you have to understand, go back to your flexible ring. Ecosystem was in an equilibrium stage And it is very important to keep that mass as it is or almost same. But now what's happening? All other masses are getting diminished or shrunk. And one component dominating the chain, dominating the ring. You can imagine what would happen. I mentioned you at the beginning. If you exert a force on this flexible ring from any part, this flexible ring can be deformed. We'll move to the other slide. Another one is unsustainable waste management. You can see this everywhere across the globe. This is a big issue. Because of our modern lifestyle, we generate lots of waste, but that is not the issue. We failed. When we say we failed, developed countries, they are more than 80%, they are successful in managing the waste. But developing countries failed to manage the waste. Now they are thinking about all these things. So in this country where I'm in the UK, we are generating more waste than other countries. But we have a proper system to manage the waste. So because of that reason, waste is not an issue here. So this is where you have to take your step. India as a developing country, you have to take initiative to manage the waste. Here, what I want to tell you, I think many students are there. My request to you guys, students, see, I mentioned to you at the beginning, we know surprisingly little about the environment. Years ago, when I was giving a session to university students outside the UK, they asked me, we think most of the things are invented or discovered or developed. So now we haven't got much opportunities to discover many things or invent many things or develop many things. Absolutely wrong. As I mentioned to you, we know surprisingly little. We know only less than 1% of what we're supposed to know. So you have plenty of opportunities. You have the opportunity to invent many things, much more than we already done. And you have the opportunity to discover many things. We don't know many things. Majority of the things are unknown to us. So you have the opportunity. And again, so many things you can develop because we haven't developed much. So the opportunity is in front of you. So always I say, dear students, don't stop there with the graduation or masters or whatever. Go further, and there are so many things waiting for you. You can develop, you can invent, you can discover, and contribute towards the society, and for the betterment of your society and for this world. So always I recommend, don't stop there. Do your best. Okay, anyway, so in 2016, global waste generation was 2.01 billion tons. Again, I have to tell you, this is a government data, so the realistic figure could be much more than this. And in 2050, scientific prediction is 3.40 billion tons. Then, if we don't have a proper waste management system in place, everything will be upside down. Now, 7 is urbanization and depletion of natural resources. Simply, I can tell you, by 2050, 6.5 billion people will live in urban countries, urban centers, 2/3 of the projected world population. So urbanization, because in India also, all over the globe, we are seeing this. Within a short period of, or within the near future, or within the next few years of time, majority of the people will be living in towns, not in villages. So villages are disappearing, and that making everything more worse. And also natural resources, we are consuming all these natural resources, over abstraction, over consumption. And for best example I have given here, the groundwater. A country like India and many other countries, they rely on groundwater, well water for their daily consumption. But we have to understand aquifers means this groundwater reserve level, aquifers. The level of aquifers going down and down on a day-by-day basis. All over the world, aquifers, their level going down. And if we continue like this, the groundwater reserve would be less than 5% of what we had in 1800 by 2050. By 2050, we will have only less than 5% of the groundwater reserve, what we had in compared with the 1800. 5% means you can imagine nothing. What would happen? If that happens, no well would have water. So you can imagine. Now, greenhouse gases emission. So as I think I touched this part before, greenhouse gases, no fresh air. Greenhouse gases means I mentioned to you what are the greenhouse gases. So the greenhouse gases increasing in our environment on a day-by-day basis. Because of that, no fresh air, no clean water, no healthy soil. Now, this pie chart can give you more clear picture about greenhouse gases. Majority, 65% is carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and F gases, fluorinated gases. All these collectively we call greenhouse gases, and it causes emission. And now about carbon dioxide level in ice age, before life originates, we all were in our ice age. That time the carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere was around 200 ppm, and when we entered into a warm-up period, it became 280 ppm, and recently in 2013 data says it was 400 ppm. 2016 it was 404 ppm. In 2020 it gone to above, it already passed 410 ppm. Again, this is a serious thing. Carbon dioxide level prediction by 2100 is 1500 ppm, 1500 ppm. You can imagine, if carbon dioxide level rise to 1500 ppm in the atmosphere, what would be happening? Now, another one is global warming. Carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide is a warm gas. Generally, these greenhouse gases are warm gas. Because of that reason, our atmosphere is getting warmer and warmer on a day-by-day basis. As a result, you can see what's happening. Polar bears, they are getting extinct, and they are facing extinction, and also, all over the world, drought and everything. So these things are happening, global warming, and climate change is a part of global warming. So I'm not touching that part. Now you can see temperature rise on the planet. This, as I mentioned to you, at the beginning, I mentioned to you about average temperature. Average increase of surface temperature during 1900 to 2100 years. it was 0.7 degree. This is very important to understand. Average increase of surface temperature during 1900 and 2000 was 0.7 degree. Now, prediction for the next 100 years means 2000 to 2100 is 7 degree. Can you imagine? Current average surface temperature is 15 degree. So, for the next 100, we cannot say next 100, next 80 years, ecologists and environmental scientists say, they predict that if we continue with this lifestyle, our average temperature could rise to 7 degree. Now, see what are the consequences of this. Now, temperature rise on the planet. What's going to happen? Living organisms won't be able to sustain. We would see the planet almost like this. See, this point is very important for you. Life sustains only in the average surface temperature range of 13 to 17 degree. Now we are at 15 degree. Then we have a prediction, scientific prediction, 7 degree. So if we continue with this lifestyle, it would be 22 degrees Celsius by 2100. Don't forget, I'm not going to scare you by saying all these things. This is the reality. So life cannot sustain above 17 degrees Celsius. That's why I showed this picture. Now, this is called sixth extinction. You might have heard about this sixth extinction. Now, just you can read this. The world's 7.6 billion people represent just 0.01% of all living organisms. Yet, since the dawn of civilization, humanity has caused the loss of 83% of all wild animals and half of the plants. See, and here, quickly I will go through one point. We had, as I mentioned, 4.6 billion years of old. That is the age of the Earth. During this time, 5 times we had extinctions on this planet. Majority or all of the living organisms has gone from this planet 5 times. All these were natural. And last extinction was it was estimated, last extinction was 65 million years ago. Dinosaurs, we believe, or we believe scientific estimate, on the basis of scientific estimate, dinosaurs got extinct during that last extinction, 5th extinction. Now, all these 5 extinctions were natural, and now we are facing a 6th extinction, and that is man-made. An important thing is, it already crossed 70%, and according to scientific prediction and estimation, it is fast approaching the completion. Just go through this slide. The rapid loss of species, many people argue, even many scientists argue, oh, these extinctions were happening before also. And the nature has its own mechanism to reconstruct it or restructure it. But we have to understand we are harming the environment, and we are doing whatever we can do against the environment and the nature. So nature cannot cope up with our harmful behavior. So if you take in that sense, you will see this. The rapid loss of species we are seeing today is estimated 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate. Scientists estimate that 1% of all species will become extinct each year. Experts estimate that there are 100 million different species coexisting with us on our planet, and 100,000 species are becoming extinct each year. Now, here we cannot forget the words of one of the eminent scientists lived in this century. What Professor Stephen Hawking, what he was saying, he published this on 19th of May 2017. He says he is not alone in believing humans need to find a new planet to live on within 100 years if it is to survive. I remember this time when he declared this, I was in India, I was taking a class in a college for the teachers. So when I finished around 12 o'clock and I came out, one of the teachers came and told me, sir, this you were taking the class or you were mentioning now this morning, Stephen Hawking made a comment about these things. So not to worry about all these things. If you ask me, is there any hope or there is no hope? I would say yes. We are late already. We are late, but I would say we are not too late. If we take action, if we act on an emergency basis, if we take appropriate action without delay, there is hope. I would say otherwise, no hope. So that's the reason I told you in the beginning, this is the most important subject of this time, because this is about our survival. If we survive, then only we can think about other stuff. So I think I spent around 1.5 hours. Always I say, Shajil sir knows about it. Wherever I go, I tell, please don't listen and go. Take a decision now. You understand the seriousness. It's not a joke. Understand the seriousness and take it seriously and take a decision today and act on it. So I would say thank you for all of you for starting a change, for taking a decision and acting today to protect our environment. Thank you very much for listening. Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir. Shahil sir, are you there?
Hello? Yeah. Yeah. If you have any questions, please ask me.
Sir, I can see Shahil sir is responding. So, Shahil sir, with your permission, let me move to the question answer session. Repeater sir, we have our student fellow Charudat here for handling the question answer session. I would like to invite Charudat for the interesting questions from the participants of this session. So, Charudat, please go ahead.
Varun, there was a technical issue with me. That's why I couldn't respond at that time. And I'm so happy to be here that Dr. Ajit Peter made a journey from the beginning of this, the very simple ecosystem and its flexibility. And he says that it is flexible, but it is not so flexible. That's why we are not able to check its flexibility. Now it's on the verge of all these the limitations. That's why. And two things he already mentioned here. That is, no one can stand alone here. That's the main message. Along with that, we have to add with the opinion of Stephen Hawking. No hope if you don't change. That's a message he has given to us, and he discussed about 10 points that affects our environment and that will affect even the life on this earth. And that's why we are under threat of a mass extinction by 2100. If we go like this, the global temperature will be, in his words, it will be 22 degrees Celsius. That is, it is not a fixed temperature level for the living things on this earth. So we have to do, the youth have to do, and you have to take your own decision. I hear from Dr. Ajit Peter that we are increasing the carbon footprint continuously. He told me earlier that in his university, a lot of people are wearing the old shoes and shirts and they're all the dresses. Why? They want to reduce the purchase. If you increase your purchase, you are responsible for the carbon footprint of each item you purchase. That's the words of Dr. Ajit Peter. I think he already mentioned all these things. And it was a really interesting and all this talk made you so cautious to think about to protect this environment. And thank you very much, sir, for remembering our students to be live with the nature. And it was a good lecture and we are the interesting one. And most of students will absorb all these things. And thank you very much, sir. And before we are leaving, and we just missed one of your friends, Dr. Lisa Srijit. She was here, but she has to met with had an appointment with a doctor. That's why he couldn't appear again. She was here in these things. I think she was a classmate of you, with you
Yes.
in Catholic College, Pathanamthitta. He told me to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
her. Yes. Now I wonder about that particular batch. You are in UK now. That Dr. Lisa Srijit is now NIT, and he is making a lot of wonderful discoveries and innovations in the field of chemistry. That's the thing. And I think all your matchmates will be in like manner. A lucky and a gifted batch, I think so. That's the thing, sir, already. And we have a good question answer session. Normally we are Ike Kutis are with us. Now he is not able to join with us. That's why otherwise he would have made a reflection on these things already. The things made by you, sir. So we can, without losing any time. Oh, okay, Kutisar is here. I just think about him. Yes, welcome, sir. We have been with, yes, sir. Please make a reflection on this. Kutisar.
Shadilmash, thank you. I have been unfortunate to miss the part of Dr. Ajipiter's talk. I came at the tail end. In fact, I was there in the beginning when Dr. Ajipiter came and started the introduction, and then found some difficulties in getting the presentation. At that stage, I was called in for a procedure. I am in Kottakkal Ayurveda undergoing a treatment right now. Sorry for not able to join you. I would have. It would have been a very exciting thing for me to have to be with you and listening, because I know the kind of messages that is coming out, the productive and purposeful environmental messages from your talk. I could imagine, although I had not listened, so I missed all that. But I am very, very happy that Dr. Ajit Peter from London is addressing our students here. I think the time gap is 3.5 hours, I believe.
Five and a half hours.
5.5 hours. And despite all the difficulties of that plus others, Dr. Ajit Peter volunteered to come and address our students. And our students, I am very happy to say that they have tried to make
Kutisar, thank you, Kutisar, for your kind words and reflections. And is there any connection problem? Hello? Hello? Varun, is there any connectivity problem?
No, sir. No, no, sir.
Oh, no, okay. I think it's a time for questions sessions. I think Charudat and team is get ready to make that questions session. That will be a good creative one. We expect like that. Welcome,
Yes, sir.
Charudat.
Charu have collected the questions along with the team. So you can invite Charu now.
Am I audible?
Yes, Charu.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you continue.
First of all, I thank to Ajit sir for this wonderful session. Current status of environment is a very important topic. Sir, start with a question. What is environment? And then go through ecosystem and its principle, healthy environment, main factors affecting it, and we go through various environmental issues and main things that affect environment. we students get a clear picture about environment and its issues. Time is very short that I am directly go to question answer section. The lot of students are asked the question. If any question miss, please pardon me. I am start. Sir, the first question is from Elto Samvargis. Good afternoon, sir. Plastic eating bacteria is discovered. So why can't we use it to destroy unwanted plastic in commercial basics?
Yeah, it's a good question, but I have learned about these plastic eating bacteria. But the question is now in most of the developing countries asked is how we are going to manage those bacteria. Okay, this bacteria they are going to eat the plastic. So how we are going to dispose, or how we are going to manage, or how we are going to deal with those bacteria in a bulk quantity, or if we use that as a commercial product, then how we are going to handle those bacteria. So we have that's why I told you there are so many things to I think I read somewhere there's a plant also consuming the plastic, but then what about that plant? Okay, now if that plant consumes the plastic waste from the water or something, then what we are going to do with that plant? How we are going to dispose that plant? See, it is all connected. So when we would be successful when we can handle successfully that end product. This bacteria may be able to consume this plastic, but then what you are going to deal with that bacteria? How you are going to dispose it, or how you are going to handle that end product? These are the things yet to be discovered or developed. Okay.
Okay, sir. Can I ask the next question?
Yeah.
The next question was asked by Dakshana Anand. He asked, "How? Good afternoon, sir. The doubt is, can we improve the protection of environment through energy conservation? If so, isn't energy conservation a part of the protection of environment?"
Yeah, energy conservation. So what we have to understand is how definitely there are many ways practically we can conserve energy, but still the problem is to what extent. And this is not suppose what we in sustainability what we learned is a pesticide or insecticide spraying in Canada or Canadian coast can give an impact on in South or impact in those who reside in Southeast Asia or in Kerala or Tamil Nadu. This all connected. So we have to see our planet as a family. Okay, so why I'm saying all these things? We should have a collective effort from every parts of the world. Now, suppose in the UK, if you take that is what UK did, all the manufacturing and everything going to Asia, China, India, China, and Brazil, and all these things. So in last past years, we haven't got any manufacturing unit in this country. That means environment is clean, or there is pollution rate declined. But other parts of the world, they are doing it for the UK. That means they are generating all these emission and everything, and that also contaminates the world. At the end of the day, we need a collective effort from every parts of the world. Then only this can be successful. Yeah, carry on.
Okay, sir. Then the next question was asked by Kashinath. He asked that, sir, how are rockets launches affect our ecosystem? How rocket launches are affect our ecosystem?
Yeah, rocket launches, because I'm not in that field, but as far as I know is there is emission and there is fuel consumption and everything is there. But now, like any other vehicles we use, or in terms of emission, definitely that's also contributing towards the environmental damage. But I read recently there are most modern technologies to avoid or to reduce those emission during rocket launching and everything. So, but I'm not able to say much about that. That is not my area. But still, we know that there is emission from there also. That maybe in the near future, or by using modern technologies, we may be able to reduce those emissions. All right.
Sir. Okay. Sir, next question was asked by Archana TM. She asked that, sir,
Yeah.
you have told that you can use tap water in UK, but we cannot. What are the various measures adopted by the UK government to maintain the purity of water?
Yeah, it is very important and useful question. Because in this country, in the UK, we have a proper water and wastewater network. In the sense, I'll tell you, I'm now sitting in my home. From here, all the wastewater from the kitchen, toilets, and everything is properly connected to the main sewer, and all this main sewer, it is going to an STP. From we have an STP for this particular area. Every areas we have a STP, sewage treatment plant. So in that STP, treat the sewage water. Sewage water means it's 90% water and 10% only solid. So we treat that separate solid and liquid, and then treat that sludge, and that goes to fertilizing unit and all. And for that 90% liquid, we properly treat and convert that wastewater to a reasonable, reusable level, and discharges that water into the rivers. And that water mixes with the fresh water in the rivers, and then from that river we take water for the water treatment plant to make it to change it into drinking water. So there we don't do any chemical treatment or biological treatment. That's the benefit of that. Don't mix any chemicals. It's all biological treatment, and then the water coming out of that water treatment plant, portable water treatment plant, is one of the top in the world, because, and then there won't be any contaminants, there won't be any biological contamination, nothing. And then that water, that purified water, would be transported to the houses or domestic purposes or whatever, and then that water is one of the top water available in any parts of the world, and then directly, that is drinking water directly from the tap, we can take and use it. Because I have tested many samples from many. That is one of the main things I do nowadays, water research, and it is perfectly okay. Because in India, when I come in India, I know that some coliforms are permitted in drinking water, but here E. coli, coliforms, Pseudomonas, nothing is permitted. Everything must be zero. So the water is safe to drink, and it is perfect. And those, if we can make that infrastructure in Kerala or India, and first of all, we should have a proper drainage system and sewage treatment system, and then we can discharge that water to our water bodies. From there, we can take the water and we can treat that properly to a potable water standard. Then that can be transported to our houses, and that would be perfectly, straight away it can be used for domestic purposes or portable purposes. But that infrastructure we should have. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. The next question was asked by Advait Krishnan Kesi. He asked that, sir, plastic also helps in preventing deforestation. So that means many woods furnitures has been replaced by plastic. So how can we completely ignore it?
Yeah, if you come to the UK, example I'm giving you because I am from the UK, so I'm giving an example from the UK. Most of the furnitures and most of the fences and even the houses are all made by wood. This wood is not coming from the forest. These are the harvesting wood, because like we do our farming in India, or like we do our rubber trees, we planting rubber trees in India. The same way they do farming, harvesting wood. So this wood today we plant, or after 10 years or 15 years, it would be matured enough to cut, and they treat that wood, and that can last for years. I know here wooden fences outside, because here you can see 10 to 11 months, or during the year we get rain, snowfall, we get 2-3 months snowfall and severe cold weather, and 12 months we may get rain, sometimes in between, or anytime we can get rain. So in this severe weather, these wooden things are very stable and environmentally friendly. So when we do in such a way, we can avoid plastic. So we cannot say plastic, because of plastic we can preserve our forest. No, I don't agree, because the way we use it, in India now, I don't know much about it, but what I understand is, we cut trees. We have two options. Either you cut tree and make the furniture, or you make it from the plastic. No, don't touch the forest. If you want wooden things, you can. You have many wasteland, many areas. So come back to farming and plant trees for harvesting trees. And after 10 years, or after 12 years, or 15 years, whatever, it depends on the life of that particular species, you can get these trees, this wood, this timber, you can treat it and use it for anything. So, because in here, what I can see is in the UK and all, they started this in 50s and 60s. So that is why because they thought, in advance, I can say. But now we only started nowadays or recent years. So now that's why we have to take appropriate action on an emergency basis in all these areas. Then definitely we can reach in that stage. Okay?
Okay, sir. The next question was asked by Archana GM. She asked that, sir, nowadays we are using a type of plastic carry bags of below 40 microns, which are soluble in soil. Is this type of carry bag harm to organisms in ocean?
Yeah. That is, I'm totally against it, because I have seen now in India, you get a thing, it's called jute or something, jute plastic. No, it's a substitute for jute. It looks like clothes, but you have to understand that it's not 100% cloth. There is plastic. So, like a net type, a cloth, look like cloth, you can get something like that in India. Because last week I was in India, that's why. So, but that is not 100%, that is not 100% plastic free, that is not environmentally friendly. And that, as I mentioned to you, there is a big mafia behind it. So this all marketing business and all. But you can get pure clothes. And what they are saying is these plastic, or the permitted plastic, we call permitted plastic, but that also more or less doing the same thing. So if you want to keep a healthy environment, definitely you have to avoid these type of plastics. If you, as I mentioned to you, I'm a member of the Plastic Ocean Foundation. If you go to, when you get time, go to Google and check for Plastic Ocean, a documentary film is there. You can read about all these things. Whatever we see in the outside world, that is not 100% true. These all types of plastics creating a big negative impact in the environment. Even when I was giving these sessions to many people, once in India, somebody argued me, in so and so things there is no phthalate, and there is no bisphenol A, it is bisphenol A free plastic. But latest studies, you have to read the latest studies. Latest studies in US and all, they are much more conscious about these, in terms of health and safety and all. But these baby feeding bottles, they have a certification that it is bisphenol A free, phthalate free. But even the analysis shows that certified plastic bottles, bisphenol A free, phthalate free bottles, has got traces of all these chemicals, and the infants fed from those bottles has got bisphenol A content and phthalate content in their bodies, bioaccumulation. So this, we are talking from a scientific point of view, not an industrial point of view or marketing point of view. I'm not saying all we need, but we need it in a sustainable way. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to, survive for long. All right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
The next question was asked by Sajida CM. She asked that, sir, which one is effective against current environmental issue, protests or scientific approach?
It's a very important and good question. See, protest means a reasonable protest is needed, because to attract others' attention to this particular area. But the now see, I don't know how many of you were aware of all these about the seriousness of these issues before I give you this talk. But I know some of you are aware. But the problem is, the problem entire globe is facing is, or the global society is facing is, how many people know about it? We are in a very critical situation. It is very serious. But how many people, general public, common man, they are not aware of it? So still it is with a high scientific level or highly, I don't know, political level. They may be aware, I don't know. But this has to reach to the common man. So that is where you have to come on board. When you understand all these things, you have to take the next step. Sometimes you may have to protest, do it, and give maximum awareness to the public and take immediate action. At least one of our professors in our university is 72. He's very active still in the university, and here we don't. Our retirement age is 68 now, but still we don't have to. Not like in India, we don't have to retire. If you are healthy, we can continue as we want. So he's 72. So he is now still at the age of 72. He's running everywhere to protect the environment. And what he's saying is, whatever happening tomorrow is nothing to do with me, but I can tell myself that I did my part. I did my part. I did my obligation to my society, to my country. So that awareness you should have. So I would recommend, if protest is necessary, do it. But not only protest, positive protest, as well as whatever you can do to protect our environment, contribute towards the society, do it. Okay?
Okay, sir. The next question was asked by Niyati Darshan Karat. She asked that, sir, it is heard that there is a type of material used for packing water which can eat. Is it correct? If yes, why can't we make it available for public?
Yeah, sorry. Can you repeat that question?
Okay, sir, it is heard that there is a type of material used for packing water which can eat. Is it correct?
Oh, all right.
If yes, why can't we make it available for public?
Yeah, I have seen something like that, because it is type of gel type thing. We can fill water in that, and when you drink the water, and you can consume that. And see, there are many technologies and techniques available, but commercially this may not be viable. I think this what you mentioned, I read somewhere, I think they are making it from seaweed or something. So commercially there could be a problem to, we are not talking about 1 or 2 pieces or 1,000 or 100,000 pieces. So we need a substitute for, you are looking 8 billion people across the globe. So commercial production convenience is very important in all these areas. So we need something. Definitely these all can help, all can play a part, but we need more environmentally friendly and at the same time commercially viable and affordable to the common man. This is not a straight line. I have to tell you, this is not a straight line. There's so many economic aspects, there's so many social aspects, so many scientific aspects, so many commercial aspects. Everything we have to consider, but still, somehow, we have to protect our environment. But it's not a straight line. Okay.
Okay, sir. The next question was asked by Ashwati Oti. She asked that, sir, a few months ago, there were a lot of protests against Eia Draft 2020 across our country. According to the Environmental Impact Assessment, the central government has the power to take steps to improve the quality of the environment and to prevent and reduce environmental pollution. The study and approval of an expert committee is mandatory for any individual or organization to initiate projects that have a major impact on the environment, such as factories and quarries. According to the draft notification 2020, the approval of the Ministry of Environment is not required to start a project, even if the new amendment comes into force, which will cause great harm to the environment. Sir, what is your view on this? And is Eia Draft 2020 as important and essential as Eia Act?
Yeah, it is a very important question, but at the same time, I have to tell you, this is all politics. And every country, especially in all developing countries, without EIA, you cannot even construct a house. Now, recently, I moved to a new house, and there I had some refurbishment and everything. I had to apply to the council, and they had to do a EIA, Environment Impact Assessment. That is common, and no, especially in all the developing countries. Without that, you cannot do anything. And that is an independent scientific body. It is under the government. There is no political involvement in this country, in other countries, many countries. But in India, when I heard that, when I saw that, I knew this. I was really shocked. So that definitely, I would say that definitely will harm the environment more and more. So I don't know why they did it. Of course, there could be some political agenda. It's all I know. We all know that regardless of the political parties in India or in our country, everything is manipulated with politics. But if you think independently, definitely EIA is highly necessary, and especially we are going through a very difficult, situation in terms of environment. You know, we haven't got much time. If we continue like this, we already mentioned the 2100, but if you take out EIA and everything, and if you harm environment more and more, then I don't think we would have to wait until 2100. Maybe in next 50 years, everything will be finished. This is true. This is science. But politicians are, I think, least bothered. So, I don't know, we are helpless, I think. So that's what I can say. But EIA is highly necessary. In this country, as I mentioned, you to build a house, you should get the permission from the council, from the government, and EIA assessment, that department, environmental department, environment agency, they have to decide whether it is permittable or whether it is going to harm the environment, how it is going to harm the environment, what are the impacts. It is highly necessary. But I don't know, in our country, it's different. Okay? Yeah, next.
Charu, before moving to the next question, how much questions are there left?
There left 1, 2, 3
Okay,
questions.
then Charudat, the time is almost 5:23. That's why.
So
Okay.
there are 3 questions back.
Okay, you edit it and ask it. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Carry on.
Next question was asked by Anaya Sunny. So she asked that we use wood for everything from paper to the construction of large buildings. All these are indisable in our daily life. How can we produce these daily necessities in an environmental friendly manner?
Yeah. As I mentioned to you, harvesting wood, if we concentrate in that area, definitely harvesting wood can take a major part of that. And also metals, suppose iron. Without plastic and all these things, we can do all these things because metal is more environmentally friendly. And it is not harming the soil or environment like plastic. But as I mentioned to you, there is, if you think about metals, there is also emission behind it, carbon footprint behind it. But in that case, you have to compare, which is okay. There are two things, both are harming the environment. Then you have to compare which is giving the less harm. Of course, there is no other option. But what I'm saying is, in such cases, we have to weigh both, which is giving the less harm and which is having the more harm, which is giving the more harm. So that we have to decide in that way. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I am asking one more question, and we have limitation of time. I am there's some questions are excluded. Please pardon me. The last question is from Adidev JD. Sir, you had said that human's life is possible only with the existence of other organisms. I have a doubt that even though the organisms and nature is dying, but human population is increasing tremendously. Why is it so?
Yeah. Now, when we teach master's students environmental science, they have a project to do about Mayan civilization. You heard about Mayan civilization, or you Google it, you will see Mayan civilization. So these Mayans they have, not 100%, but you can say more than 90% similarities with our present society, current situation. They were much more advanced than any other civilization lived, before. I think Mayans lived BC 900 to AD 700 or 900. That, say, starting from BC 900 to AD 1000 or something. That time, I don't remember, but I have the data. So what they did, they started manipulating the environment, and they were living a wonderful life. At that time, Mayans had football court and malls. The mall, the shopping complexes, everything we have now. The ancient model of those malls they had. So that means they were a very advanced society. So what happened, when you see their lifestyle, so they started growing like this, like organically they started growing, and then they reached the peak. They did the same thing. They did not bother the environment, about the environment. They did not do anything to preserve the environment. And when they reached the peak, it gone like this, like our normal graph. They reached the peak, and then there was no other species, climate change, weather pattern. There was no systematic weather pattern, nothing, and everything came against them. and Mayan civilization collapse. The collapse was not like this. Collapse was steep like this, like this. So same. Now we are using all other species and spoiling and destroying all other species. That means our survival. You know that survival is depends on other species. Then other species are becoming less and less and less. Then at the moment we are dominating all the world. Then there would be a stage we wouldn't be able to survive because there may not be other species. Then our collapse or that depletion should not be like this. It will be like this. It would be like this. So at the moment we are okay, but not okay. We are approaching to the peak. Once we reach the peak, then things would be different. You can imagine that. Suppose, think in this way. You have 1 ton of food at your home. Now you are lavishly eating, no problem. You are not thinking about the future, you are lavishly eating. And after 10 years, there is not much food left. Still you are not bothering, you are eating everything. And when you finish the last grain, what do? You may survive without food for a few days. Then that graph is like this, but after that, it will be steep. Exactly the same. Is it okay? Hello?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you, sir. Charudat, is the questions over?
No, sir. Your question was over.
Over. Okay, thank you, Charudat, for conducting this wonderful session. I think really, even though the time is closed, but I think the ideas and discussion is required there. It was a necessary thing here. So that's why we are not bothered about the time, but we are bothering about the convenience of our guest, Dr. Haji Peter. But he's also immersed with the students by interacting with him and making them clarify. I think the question answer session is the most wonderful session, would be the most wonderful session in this webinar that will make more utility to these the participants, and they are utilizing, and good interactive sessions are always welcome. So along with that, we are a bit sorry about the time, but it's for a good cause. We can compromise with that. That's my opinion. And I think all the students and our Dr. Haji Peter is enjoyed well, and we are so happy to be with us. And you are the first speaker from outside India to this program. That's so we are so proud to be like that. You are supporting us from as part of Brunel University and part of UK and the industry also there. And I think you will guide these students after 5 years or 10 years back. They want some support like that, and even you to motivate that. I think you will. I request you to make such kind of guidance and all these things for the overseas studies and research like that. That we expect you from your part, sir. Okay, sir.
So yeah, thank you very much for your patience, and really, I had to tell you, I really enjoyed the time with you. And as Shaji sir mentioned, I would be happy to give you any guidance, and I have a YouTube channel, so you can subscribe to that, and any your doubts or guidance. And also, as I mentioned to you, what I suggest to you all. After you study well, after your studies, you have out of country, and then you can experience what is happening, or you can see what is happening outside India, and then you grab all these good experience and these exposures. After getting these exposures, go back to your country, home country, our country, and make things better and contribute towards our society. So for that, I'm happy to help you anytime and to whatever the extent. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Ajit sir, for your this kind of advice and helping hand. And it's time for the official vote of thanks here. I think Anaka Nandana is ready to express the vote of thanks.
It's actually for expressing vote of thanks.
Okay. Ashwini is ready here to express vote of thanks. After that, there is the question. The UL Space Club quiz link will be posted in the comment box. I think so. They will. You all are waiting for that. I invite for the vote of thanks. Welcome.
Hi, good evening to all. It's our 28th webinar session about the current status of our environment. As we know, it's our responsibility to protect our environment. But today, the condition of our nature is very deplorable due to the continuous intervention of human and his excess consumption of natural resources. It's really important that each and every one of us should aware of the present condition, and we should take care of it not to complicate further. Today, our session is handled by Dr. Ajit Peter Sir, who is a chartered environmental scientist at London. He explained us that deforestation, pollution like plastic contamination, etc. are how much injurious to the health of our environment and how much species of organisms are extincting due to this. Anyways, I came here for the vote of thanks for today's webinar. Thanks to Dr. Ajit Peter Sir, who handled our today's session and for giving us a clear picture of nature and awareing us about the present situation. Thanks to our mentor, Shri E.K. Kuti Sir, moderator Sajil Sir, and all the coordinators of UL Space Club, and to all the participants who attended the session. Thanks to all.
Okay, thank you, Ashwini. Now it's time to conclude these things. It's now 5:36 here, and it's coming to noon in UK also. Okay, then it was a wonderful moment with you, sir, Ajit Peter, sir. Really, okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Sir, I request all participants to attend the quiz program. And as I mentioned in the chat window, we have a surprise gift for the quiz winners other than the cash prize offered. So all of you are requested to participate in the quiz program, and please try your maximum to win the quiz competition. So please don't miss it.